for my peace of mind, my sanity, and my clarity, this has been nagging at me for a while, and I've brushed it away. But there's so much stuff that has come up, and there's things that, you know, I was exposed to some things, and like, it's just, it's so hard to say stuff without saying.
Guys, have you ever stopped to really sit with the mystery of Kim Porter's death? How someone with unlimited access to the best medical care money could buy, living comfortably in Los Angeles, could be gone in a matter of days? In November 2018, Kim Porter passed away at just 47 years old after battling what looked like nothing more than flu-like symptoms for only a handful of days. And if we're being honest, that timeline has never sat right with anyone. Now, allegedly, Gina Tew is pulling back the curtain, and what she's reportedly saying paints a much darker picture, that Kim's body may have collapsed so fast because her immune system was already devastated. Compromised by diseases she allegedly contracted from Diddy, including, according to Gina, HIV itself possibly passed to her, Diddy, and the chaos of his freak-offs. And if that's true, it raises a chilling question. Was Diddy knowingly spreading this virus to the people around him? For context on where this claim is even coming from, Gina has alleged that years ago, while she was homeless in New York, she was swept up and pulled into Diddy's orbit, eventually becoming a fixture at his now infamous parties. And it was there, she claims, that she may have contracted HIV, with her finger pointed squarely at Diddy. Because her diagnosis reportedly went untreated for 8 brutal years, she says the virus progressed all the way to AIDS, ravaging her body until her weight collapsed to a shocking 65 pounds, stripping her of muscle mass and even her ability to walk.
A lot of you are asking if I have any muscles in my legs and how strong am I right now. Most of my strength is in my arms. You can see I can kind of do this a little bit with my legs, but still need to get them straightened out. Stuff really hurts my toes. Did you get the picture?
The physical toll Gina describes is nothing short of horrifying. She recalls losing control of her own body so completely that she'd run headfirst into walls, lose control of her bowels, and lose all mobility in her legs within just 2 weeks of being hospitalized, even going partially blind in one eye as the illness ravaged her further. But there's a glimmer of hope in her story too. She says she's since climbed back to 100 pounds, relearning to stand and walk with assistance, and has managed to drive her viral load down to undetectable levels. The horror, she claims, traces back to what was circulating unchecked at those freak-offs, where partners were swapped freely and protection was reportedly nowhere to be found. And if you think this is all speculation with nothing behind it, think again. When Diddy was indicted, federal agents didn't just find a staggering 1,000 bottles of baby oil, they also uncovered 3 AR-15s stashed across his Miami and Los Angeles properties, all allegedly tied to the elaborate machinery behind his freak-offs. The indictment laid it all out in disturbing detail: the drugs, the linens, the lighting, all in service of parties where Diddy allegedly threatened and coerced the people around him into silence and submission to protect his image. Then there's Cassie, who claimed in her lawsuit that she was locked in an endless cycle of treating STDs, so relentless that medication eventually stopped working on her body altogether. And while she never named HIV specifically, whispers have grown around another ex, Young Miami, allegedly spreading the virus after catching it from Diddy himself. It was reportedly JT who first lit the fuse on these claims, hinting publicly that Young Miami had picked up the virus from someone, quite possibly Diddy, and was now unknowingly passing it forward.
He's basically coming out and saying that Young Miami is sleeping around with different guys, giving them AIDS.
Damn.
You know, in a future, Stefan Diggs is one of the people that got thrown out there. You know, she was with.
And the trail doesn't stop there. Sources from inside the facility holding Diddy have previously alleged that he's been receiving HIV treatment since the moment he was processed, suggesting that his increasingly frail appearance in court may be less about trial stress and more about a medical regimen shifting behind closed doors. If that's accurate, it confirms what many have suspected all along, that a web of infectious disease, HIV very much included, was quietly spreading through those parties. Which brings us back to Kim Porter, because the picture painted around her isn't just about illness, it's about the situations she was allegedly forced into. In a lawsuit filed by April Lampos, disturbing details emerged, alleging that she was at Diddy's apartment in Manhattan with him after they had returned from a nightclub, and Diddy told both of them to open their mouths and forced ecstasy down their throats. Then he forced them to hook up as he watched and got off from watching Kim in April, but it didn't stop there for Diddy, because after forcing the two ladies to hook up, April said that Diddy proceeded to force himself on her, all of this reportedly happening while he was still very much with Kim. Then there's Cola Booth, who described a pattern of Diddy sleeping with other women while still involved with Kim, and alleging that Cassie let herself be flaunted in Kim's face, and laughed at how Diddy was treating Kim in her own home. She even said that she will never forget the time Kim told her Diddy tried to make her lick Cassie's tampon. In addition, she talked talked about one time at 4 in the morning when Diddy brought Cassie, who was basically a teenager, into his bedroom where Kim was sleeping, and woke up Kim and told her to get out of the bed so Cassie can get in it again. A cruelty that reportedly played out again and again while he and Kim were still together. And then the story takes an even darker turn, with alleged diaries said to belong to Kim claiming that as Diddy's fame exploded, he turned to dark magic and ritualistic practices, so-called energy harvesting, to sustain his wealth and power, allegedly forcing Kim, 9 months pregnant, into group encounters said to fuel these rituals, with other claims describing a gangbang involving celebrities while she was carrying his child. It's a stomach-turning allegation, and from a purely statistical standpoint, the more partners involved in an encounter like that, sequentially or simultaneously, the higher the odds that at least one carries a high viral load of HIV or an active STI. And layer onto that the biology of the 3rd trimester, when the cervix and vaginal walls are engorged, stretched, and dangerously fragile, making transmission disturbingly easy. If even a fraction of this is true, it suddenly makes chilling sense why Kim's body may have already been compromised long before that final illness took hold. Because when the official autopsy came back, it named the cause of death as lobar pneumonia, a brutal infection that inflames an entire lobe of the lung. But what shook people wasn't the diagnosis, it was the Kim complained of congestion, body aches, and a fever spiking to 102. A doctor prescribed antibiotics and IV fluids, and within just 72 hours, she was found unresponsive in her own home. Here's what makes that timeline so unsettling. For a healthy adult under 50, pneumonia almost never kills that fast, with mortality rates for community-acquired cases in non-elderly. Non-immunocompromised patients sitting at a low 1 to 3% under modern care, a number that only spikes dramatically once the immune system is already compromised. And when you trace Kim's final days, the collapse is staggering for someone under such close medical watch. A doctor visited her at home, treated her sore throat and fever with IV fluids, vitamins, antibiotics, and the painkiller Toradol. And just 3 days later, she was found unresponsive in bed, pronounced dead at 11 a.m., her nightstand still lined with water bottles, sports drinks, Pedialyte, and tomato soup. The quiet, hopeful evidence of someone who thought she was simply fighting off flu. The sheer speed at which the infection overtook her body tells a different story, and it's led many to believe that despite having doctors making house calls and administering IVs bedside, Kim's immune system was already running on empty behind the scenes, which is exactly the theory Gina Tew is reportedly circling. Insiders suggest she's essentially confirming that Kim's sudden death wasn't random at all, but the tragic result of an infection that had already taken root. And as for why she's speaking now, Gina isn't just surviving her health battle anymore, she's reportedly rebuilding her strength. And with that strength comes a voice the industry is said to be bracing for, with whispers suggesting she's about to reveal never-before-heard details about Kim Porter. Given everything Gina has endured, I'm genuinely bracing myself for what she reveals next. So drop in the comments below whether you believe Kim's shockingly fast death was the result of a weakened immune system, allegedly left that way by HIV she may have contracted from Diddy.